Hello everyone. I am very happy to be here indeed for the third consecutive year. Thank you for sticking to us on the fourth one. I know that we're getting towards the end of the day and it's the last day of the corporate week. I really hope that today I bring to you a story that I come to share with all of my experience, all of my honesty, because it's a story that I am not going to come and tell you how I did my CV or how I managed a specific interview, but instead an entire story of how I have pursued to reach to where I am today. When I was first invited to be here to tell my story, my presentation was called The Journey Ahead, from being a student to finding a job in the Netherlands. I had only been here working for 6 months in Maastricht, and I had a very brief story to share of how I reached there. Then the second time I had a longer story, still under the same position that I joined that company in. I have been working for a year and a half. And today I'm here to tell you Sophia 2.0 and the upgrade and how I got to grow within the company to, like previously was well said before, not only I reached a job, I kept the job and I grew within it. So here I am, from being a student to managing Latin America. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. I am someone who has liked to collect international experience ever since. I have a bachelor's in finance at Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. I am Mexican. I studied doing business with Central and Eastern Europe in the School of Economics in Prague during my bachelor's. I studied Chinese in Fudan University as a scholar of the Chinese government from 2016 to 2017 in Shanghai. I have a work program experience working for Walt Disney World Company in Atlanta, the United States. And when I finished this journey of coming and going through the world, I went back to Mexico to dedicate myself to work for 2 years in the real estate sector. Now, when you work in the real estate sector, you're a little bit of an everything doer. You do accounting, taxation, notary, marketing, sales. And even when I had this multiple diverse dynamic job, I still wanted to change my career path. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to do a master's, I'm going to refresh my management skills, and then I'm going to see what the future awaits for me. So in the right side of the screen, we have all of the logos of the companies where I have crossed towards being here where I am today, and it's all of the story that I'm going to share with you today as well. But before that, I want to tell you how come I chose the Netherlands. It's a story that I really enjoy sharing every time when people ask me, Sophia, why the Netherlands? I truly want to share it with you today as well. And the thing is that, as I told you, I was studying and living in China. And in the holidays of my studies, I went to Vietnam to travel. And in one of those travels, by accident, my friends had booked a different flight and I ended up traveling solo. I stayed in Vietnam, traveling in Hanoi for 3 days. And I had to do the best out of it. I had a visa that I had applied to, a flight that was in 3 days. And I thought, you know, I have to make the best. I was there in a bus in a tour to Halong Bay, in a very tiny, tiny bus where there was one seat left. And when I got and sat there, I was next to these very tall, big ladies that were with their knees like crooked, like this, barely fitting on the bus. And sooner or later, I discovered they were Dutch. And they invited me to join them to the tour with them that day, and they told me, Sophia, what do you want to do after your studies in China? And I said, you know, I don't know what I want to do exactly, but I do know that I want to do a master's one day. I don't know where, but the master's is something that has to happen. And they told me, why don't you consider the Netherlands? We have very good education, and everybody speaks English. So I thought to myself, why not? Let's keep this advice in mind. 2 years later, I made it to MSM to be part of the MM7 batch, and 3 years after that, here I am telling you my story. Now, when you decide to start over and you say to yourself, I want to change my career path, I really want to invite everyone to understand that there is a big importance in having humble beginnings. You come to a new place, you are building your experience over, and when I was here in MSM, it was precisely in the corporate week when I realized that what I wanted to do was project management. So when I had this discovery, I was like, wow, this is exactly like real estate, but in the office, you know, you do a little bit of everything, but putting results in multiple departments within the company itself. So in my journey of hunting for jobs, I found myself an internship in Friesland Campina. I want to make a remark that it was COVID times. It was 2019, and when I joined Friesland Campina, it was 2020. It was a time that it was very hard to find a job. It was not a time to be too picky. It was a time to accept that I was starting over, and a time where I needed to get experience in what I had discovered that I wanted to do. It was project management, and it was the most important. It was not about the position I was getting, but about the actual experience that I needed to collect. So I started in Friesland Campina. But then I had an internship, right? So I had to find myself a part-time job as well. And I'm going to tell you a story. When I was doing the master's, there was this entrepreneurship assignment where you had to find a specific company within Maastricht that had at least 15 employees. And I promise you all that back then, I thought, I'm going to go to Coffee Lovers. But I thought, no, because you start believing your assumptions. And here is a lesson learned I had. Don't believe in your assumptions. I thought, no, but the owner of Coffee Lovers, I don't think that he or she lives here. Probably he lives in Amsterdam. So I discarded it. But when I decided to find a part-time job, I am a fond coffee lover, literally. So I thought, if I am only working in the weekends, when otherwise I would be resting, it better be something that I really like. So I took my risk, and I sent my cover letter. And it's a cover letter that I'm very proud that I sent, because it's a cover letter that I promise you all that, as you can tell, it broke some rules. I did half a page. I really needed to tell these people more about me and believe in me. And I attached 2 photos of the latte art I've made. I told them I want to be a barista at Coffee Lovers. I need to work on the weekends, plenty hours. And I even wrapped up here, have a well-brewed day, like saying I really know my business here with coffee. And that is what I did. Then I got called for the interview for Coffee Lovers. And I was there sitting in front of this lady that when I arrived, she was super well dressed, super nice. And I thought, this woman looks like she's the owner. So then I sat down there. I was wearing a simple outfit because I was applying for a cafe. So I had my jeans and my sneakers, and I'm sitting there in front of this lady. It's like, hi, nice to meet you, Mireia Fitters. It's like, pleasure, Mireia, nice to meet you too. You're the HR manager. Yes, I'm the owner of Coffee Lovers. And in that moment, she started telling me, yes, we have 8 Coffee Lovers. We live here in Maastricht. We have over 150 employees. And I started thinking of entrepreneurship assignment. I could have been here way earlier. So soon I got the job. It was between Mireia and me. She's one of my dearest friends today in Maastricht. Love at first sight. She hired me. She told me, Sofia, we're going to have a new opening of Blanche Diet because it's joint companies where they sell coffee beans. We're going to have a shop, and I want to be there, not the barista, but what about if you're the shopkeeper? I was like, Mireia, just know that I don't speak Dutch, so if you want me to be selling the coffees, I believe in your skills. Just go there with English. It should suffice. 20 years ago, I would have been worried that you don't speak Dutch. Not today. Today, I know that we all speak English, and you can have this opportunity and we'll be fine. I was working there for 9 months. 9 months and were 6 of the internship time, and I liked my part-time job, really, guys, so much that when I found my full-time job, I was still there in the weekends for 3 months after. A time in which I did a lot of networking, a time in which I met people here in Maastricht, a time in which I was also taking advantage of the fact that it was still COVID time, and it was one of the slight businesses that was still open at the time. So I could still get some people interaction. It was good. But then I had to find a full-time job, and this story was not over. When I went hunting for a full-time job, I have to tell you that during COVID, I did 174 applications. 174 applications that led me to 3 calls: the internship, the coffee, and this third one that was a marketing job that I was at this point so much looking forward to find a job that this lady called me, yes, we have a product management position in this company that is dedicated to auto parts. It's in Lake, close to Maastricht. I was like, great, I need an interview. I made it to the last interview, truly excited, thinking that I was going to make it now finally to find a job. And guess what? When I was there in the interview with the manager director, my possible direct manager, I thought to myself, this is not for me. I had gone through all of the stages, excited, enthusiastic and giving it all my best to every single question they asked and challenge they gave me. And when I reached there, I thought, I don't belong here. I was in an environment that just by looking at things, you know and use it. To remain sensitive to yourself, and most importantly, true to yourself, you have to remember that at the end of the day, you're here also to be happy. To find that something that fulfills you, not something that pays your bills. So I diplomatically took over the last interview that day, and I went back home a bit upset because for one moment I had had a train ride that I thought, oh, I found a job, this is it, it's the last interview. And then I came back thinking, the search is ongoing, I have to keep doing this. I got home, I called to my internship manager, I was like, never mind, I did not find a job, I can already tell you that I'm not leaving the internship. And then the HR lady called me the next day. And I saw her name on the phone, and I thought to myself, time to say the truth, like always. Sophia, how did you feel? How was the interview, the environment? I was like, her name was also Sophie, by the way. Sophie, you know, as enthusiastic as I was, and it took me all the way through the interviews, I have to tell you that I don't want to take the job. I already know that even making me an offer doesn't make sense because it's not something that's going to fulfill me. So how come, truly, I just didn't feel it, and I need you to know that this is the case. No? Clear. Thank you for the honesty. The next day, who would have been my managing director called me, and I was like, oh my God, the guy is there. Sophia, I have been informed that you don't have any interest further in the position, etc. And saying diplomatic answer, Mr. I don't remember his name now, I really was looking forward to the job. To be fair, I reached to the last interview and realized that the job is not for me. And I would damage the good intentions of the company of product development, taking a position that I might leave soon. Took it. Thank you for the honesty. If you change your mind, let me know. At this point, I probably would have negotiation power. I could have asked for more, like for more benefits, a better salary, but that didn't matter. It didn't matter because it's not that what you want, guys. I want you to so much focus in realizing how important it is that you find a job that fulfills you at all times. With its challenges, of course, because work is hard. My grandpa says how tough it is to work, but you get paid for it. Of course it is, but you have to be sure that most of the time you're happy, where you're going to be spending 1/3 of your time. 2 weeks later, the same HR lady called me. I saw her name on the phone, and I thought to myself, they have not found someone for the position. They're going to ask me again, like, whatever you want or something, I don't know. So I pick up. Sophie, how are you? Sophia, hi, I've been keeping you in my mind. You know, I'm an HR recruitment person, and there is this job position in Maastricht. It's a job that I think fits your profile. It's a management position. Frankly, it's an assistant position. But I think it would be good for you. It's in Maastricht, and you should give it a shot. I'm calling you only to ask if I can give this person your CV. I already told her about you, but I need your permission. Like, please go ahead, I need a job. I want to expand longer with that. They called me, we had one interview, they invited me to the office here in Maastricht, and the job was mine. A job in which I started as the executive assistant to the CEO, to the owner of the company. And it was a job that I knew I could do in a place that makes me happy in Maastricht, in an environment that I liked, the people I knew I was going to work with, not so big of a company, and I thought this is my starting point. I opened the door, and I'm staying to grow here. Coincidentally, when I joined and I was in the onboarding procedure, the person who was the Latin America manager was about to leave. They told me he is leaving, but in 3 months, the replacement is coming, so we only need you to, these 3 months, take over what he's doing, so that when the person that replaces arrives, you can hand over and there's no lag. Okay, good. So the 3 months were meant to pass, but when just 1 month passed, my managers called me for a meeting, and they told me, Sophia, we have to inform you that the replacement drove back and will not come to Maastricht, So we're gonna need you to help us for a longer while with this until we find a replacement. It was a time that I thought, find your silver lining. I was hired to be an assistant with responsibilities that were way simpler, with all of the job description that was completely different to what this meant. But in difficult times, seek for the opportunity, which is why I call this stage of my presentation, find your silver lining. I thought to myself, this is my chance to prove that I can do it, because I have been thinking for 1 month, I could do this, I just need the experience, And at some point, I am going to reach there. So it's almost like a funny story, and at the same time no, because many times I would go into meetings for Latin America, I would translate files, I would be there with the departments to say what's happening in Latin America, passing emails from English to Spanish, and along the way I started learning what this meant. At some point, they did find a replacement, and I said, no, this is my time to raise my voice and say, this position belongs to me. This is the time to go and sit down with my managers and tell them, I've been practically doing the position for a year and a half. And I want the opportunity, humbly, again, because I knew I had to learn more, to be the junior manager of Latin America. If this person that you hired is the senior manager, I want to be the junior manager. Period. I sat down with them and I told them I have completely outgrown the executive assistant position, and I want the opportunity of growth. They told me, we'll think about it. I was like, I talked. I think it had been 1 year and a half for me, knowing every time, sometimes as a joke, coming to my managers and saying, you know, you already have your Latin American manager, but you don't want to see it, like, as a joke. Sometimes I would sit and I'd be like, I can do this. And until I really sat down and faced them and requested it, it's when it happened. The next day they come to me and like, Sofia, we have decided to give you a probation period to be the senior Latin American manager. We have decided that the person that is going to be hired as well is going to stay remote within Mexico to have someone in the time schedule of his own to manage, and you're going to be the manager in the headquarters. So I got what I asked for. We had a new salary discussion, a new responsibilities discussion. I signed my probation period, and to cut the story short, 1 month later I was in Lima, Peru. Here is a photo of me in the great fields of Lima. I have to mention that the company where I work for, Syneria, is a trading company that sells agricultural, biological, chemicals. So I went there to sell and allocate the products and meet people to increase our reach and positioning of the products in Latin America. That is a business meeting in La Huaca Puquiana, which is some ruins in Peru. This is Miraflores, which is a very nice area in Lima. And then 1 month later, I went to Bogota. In Bogota, this is me in Andres Cameles, a really folkloric, cool restaurant that I highly recommend. A night out in Cumbia House, which is owned by Carlos Vives. And that is me in the warehouse of one of our customers where I am presenting one of our star products that is also a biological. And I want to wrap my story with the following. When I was in China, I journaled every day about my experiences. And when I was in Vietnam, the other day I went back to this specific page of when I met these Dutch ladies, and I was very happy to see that it said, in our of course in Spanish, I translate here, in our conversation, I got impressed with the open-minded of the Dutch. 5 weeks of vacation, and their life quality. 5 weeks of vacation, 4-day work weeks, and they are able to afford traveling and living by themselves. They put again in my mind the idea of studying in the Netherlands. 3 years later, here I am, working in the Netherlands in a company where I have a 4-day work week, where I live by myself, where I travel from time to time. And I just want to ask you to reflect on how are you visualizing yourselves? Where do you want to be? And how do you want to feel in this career path that you have chosen? It is only like that. I told you in the beginning that I did bachelor's in finance. And when I was studying finance, one rule of thumb that you have to know in investments is the higher the risk, the higher the return. And when I was there in this classroom, I thought to myself, but isn't this in life as well? Don't you, every time you take a risk, you deserve a high return? Guys, when you came to the Netherlands to study, you took a high risk. You took a high risk in the sense of living life as you knew it, to put your bets on a new career path, to start over, to make new friends, leave family behind, your good weather most likely, your good food most likely, many things that you have back home. It all adds up. You deserve the highest returns. So make sure that you choose your path and you guide yourself to success towards all of that you're dreaming of. I wish you success. Thank you.
Thank you for that inspiring talk, Sophia.
Welcome, my pleasure.
3 questions?
Shoot. I'll stay later, but you can also shoot now.
You said you have changed your specialization, right?
Yes, I changed my
career. New thing. What was the conflict there?
The conflict?
Change your expert from something to something else.
Dealing with uncertainty. When you start over, you have to have a lot of stomach to understand that, okay, I left what I knew, and now I'm going to start over. And I want to believe, you have to be very sure that you're believing in yourself. I want to do a master's. Why? My intention is to refresh my management skills and take it from there.
You couldn't combine your both skills or experience in your job?
No, totally. When I was working in Mexico, I was a real estate agent, and that's why I mentioned that it was a very diverse job where I would do multiple things. I found them transferable skills when I realized that I could do project management as well. A type of job where you apply multiple dynamic skills, but within an environment in an office, which is something I wanted. When you work in real estate, you're a bit up and down, showing houses coming and going. I wanted a little bit more of a settled work environment, but also with this dynamism. I'm a very dynamic woman, and I could not be doing just one thing, so that's how I chose it, practically.
Thank you for motivated speech. I really like this.
My pleasure. Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Actually, it was a really nice and inspiring one. Those who want to take the challenges of switching over the expertise field.
Yes.
It's a really good motivation for us.
I mission accomplished, guys. Yes, if I motivate you today, I am very happy to. And as like I said, I'll stay later. So please feel free to approach, ask, connect.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yes, perfect. I think Anna had one question.
Yes, Anna.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why do you have a YouTube and you have a website coming up soon?
Because I truly love public speaking. It's something that, speaking of career path and career development, is something that I see myself doing. I like to believe I have a story always to share that hopefully reaches people's hearts and minds to inspire them to do whatever they want. And I build a portfolio. This is why I'm filming myself. This is why I put them in my YouTube channel. So if you want to give me a follow, you very much can do that. Please do so. Follow me also please on Instagram. And mainly, of course, let's stay connected with LinkedIn. With community, we develop our professional path.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I have another question, but I will come and speak to you.
Okay, good. Yes.